They say truth is stranger than fiction. They forget to mention that sometimes it's also more terrifying. And this is Whispers of History. This is the story of the spectral laundry of Abigail Adams. In the grand halls of the White House, where presidents have walked, policies have shaped the world, and history breathes through the walls, there lingers a faint, sweet smell of lavender. It drifts through the East Room, gentle and persistent, long after anyone should have used soap or water there. And some say that where that scent lingers, she is near. The First Lady of the second President of the United States, Abigail Adams, still tending to her household chores, more than 2 centuries after her death. The year is 1800. John Adams, weary from years of public service, has just moved into the brand new executive mansion, what we now call the White House. It was unfinished. The plaster was damp. The walls were bare. Washington, D.C. itself was more swamp than city. Abigail wrote to her daughter that the grand new residence was habitable, but only barely so. And in that chilly, empty building, with open windows and unlit corridors, she made a home the only way she knew how, through order, diligence, and the comforting rhythm of domestic life. Every week, she turned the East Room into her personal laundry area. It was the largest room in the mansion, filled with sunlight and crosswinds, perfect for drying sheets, tablecloths, and the garments of the presidential family. Imagine it, the future seat of state dinners and glittering ceremonies, once filled with rows of freshly washed linen, swaying like ghosts in the draft. Abigail would move between them, hanging and folding, humming softly, her hands red from cold water and soap, her heart devoted to duty. And though her body has long since left this earth, that devotion, it seems, has not. Abigail Adams died in 1818, never knowing how vast her legacy would become. But some say she never truly left the White House. It began with whispers among the staff. In the years following her death, servants would remark that the East Room, the very room where she hung her laundry, sometimes felt different, cooler, quieter. And then there was the scent. Lavender. Not the faint perfume of flowers from the garden, but something stronger, the unmistakable aroma of soap, linen, and clean water. A housekeeper in the late 1800s wrote that she once entered the East Room before dawn and smelled the freshness of a day's washing, though no cleaning had been done for days. Others claimed to hear the swish of skirts or the faint creak of clotheslines, shifting in an unseen breeze, and on rare occasions, someone would catch sight of her. The apparition is always the same. A woman dressed in 18th century clothing, a high-waisted gown, a white linen cap, carrying a basket at her hip. She moves slowly through the East Room, her arms outstretched as though balancing the weight of laundry. She does not speak. She does not look at those who see her. Instead, she moves with quiet purpose, arranging linens only she can see, going about her chores as if she never stopped. One White House staffer in the early 20th century claimed he encountered her while locking up late at night. He saw a faint, glowing figure of a woman in colonial dress gliding across the East Room floor. She passed directly through a closed door, leaving behind a faint trail of lavender and the distant sound of water dripping into a basin. When security returned moments later, the scent was gone. The air was still. But the man never forgot her, or the strange calm that seemed to follow her presence. The East Room has seen much since Abigail's day. Presidential receptions, funerals, ceremonies of state. Abraham Lincoln's body lay in repose there. The echoes of grief from the Civil War still haunt its marble floors. Yet even amid that solemn history, the presence of Abigail Adams endures, and a gentle, domestic ghost among political phantoms. During the Truman renovation of the 1940s, when the entire interior of the White House was gutted, workers reported strange occurrences, the smell of soap and fresh linens, even when the building's plumbing had been torn out, drafts that carried the scent of lavender into sealed rooms, a faint humming, an old tune, perhaps something sung in the early Republic, that would fade whenever anyone drew near. Some whispered that Abigail's spirit was unsettled by the reconstruction. Others believed she was simply checking to ensure her home, her beloved home, was being cared for properly. There is something profoundly human about Abigail Adams' ghost story. Unlike tales of rage or vengeance, her haunting seems rooted in devotion. She was, by all accounts, a fiercely intelligent and compassionate woman, advisor to her husband, advocate for women's education, and a tireless manager of her household. In her letters, she often spoke of order, discipline, and service. Perhaps it is no wonder, then, that her spirit still moves quietly through the East Room, tending, watching, caring. Maybe she lingers not because she cannot leave, but because she chooses not to. In life, she kept the house of the president running. In death, she keeps watch over it still. And if you ever visit the White House and find yourself standing in the East Room, if the air suddenly cools or a faint scent of lavender curls around you, perhaps for just a moment, the First Lady of the early Republic has passed by, arms full of invisible laundry, still tending to her home, still devoted to her duty. Today, the legend of Abigail Adams's spectral laundry endures, not as a tale of terror, but as a whisper of continuity. Presidents come and go. Policies shift. But through centuries of change, the East Room remains her domain. Some historians see it as symbolism, the enduring presence of the nation's first women, whose labor, often invisible, built the foundation upon which history rests. Abigail's ghost, then, is not a restless spirit, but a reminder that even in the halls of power, it is often the quiet work of care and constancy that holds the world together. So the next time you hear of strange scents drifting through the White House corridors, a hint of soap, a whisper of lavender, remember the woman who hung her laundry in the room of presidents, and who, it seems, has never stopped keeping it clean.